Hello, today we are going to do a really quite a fun fill, and it's a rock style fill, and it's something that it's very simple to explain, it's very simple to play at a slow tempo, and every time you play it you get a little bit faster with it and you get a little bit more comfortable with it, and eventually it's going to show up in your play almost instinctively, and you're going to be so happy when it does. So this fill spreads itself out between the drums. So if you look at the music that I'm going to put there, you can see that it starts with a right hand on the snare, then a left hand on the rack tom, and a right hand on the floor tom for the 1 E and then the A is going to be a bass drum on its own. 1 E and A. So just do that. 1 E and A. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, the 2 is a floor tom and a snare drum together. 2. So 1 E and 2. Okay, you're starting to see what's happening here. 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2. 1 E and 2. We're doing the exact same thing next, but it's not starting on 1, so that can be why it looks a little bit different. So we finished on 2, so we're starting on the and A, which is what makes it look weird. And 3 E and. So it's and 3 E and. Now it's the exact same thing for 1 E and 2, but we're doing a and 3 E and. So that pattern, it just repeats. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and. That leaves us one beat that we split into 4 hits, semiquavers, and we go all on the snare. 4 E and A. That's it. That's the whole fill. Now you can play this whatever way you want. You can play it over a number of bars if you wish, but it's nice and tidy, a 1 bar fill. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and A. Now, whatever speed you do this at is not important at the start. Do it as slow as you need to get it right. Make sure you're counting, because if you're not counting, then the pattern doesn't really start to emerge from the sticking. It's very hard to figure out that is the pattern that we're doing, but if you're counting 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and A. Now, both of the times I played it there were out of time, but when I counted, I was able to identify each beat as where it's supposed to be, and the more I practice it, I'll basically straighten out my count and I'll make it all sound correct. If I don't get into the habit of counting, then straightening it out can be almost impossible. Knowing your values is important. So let's say you're able to play it at a slow enough tempo and you're able to play it even at that slow tempo. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and A. First thing you should do is get out your metronome and find out what that tap speed is. So that was about 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and A. Now because I'm playing so slow, I'm going to tap for the ands as well so I can get a beep on the ands. 1 E and 2. My actual speed, the speed it's giving me is 50, but I was tapping twice as often as I should, so technically I'm playing at 25 here. 2. So 1, 2, 4 E and A. 2, 3, 4. 4 E and A. Now, that is slow, but it's also in time. Don't be afraid to go slow if it's going to keep you in time. But let's imagine that we've already practiced it at that speed and we've gotten it up to a more comfortable speed. So let's call it 35 instead of 25. Let's call it 40 instead of 25. So before we try and play it at this new speed, we're going to count it. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. So you can see how the count helped me hear what it's going to sound like. I'll do that again, just counting. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. One E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. Okay, so we've practiced it at 40. Let's say we've practiced it all the way up to 70, okay? Which is almost double the speed. Remember, we're not going to jump like that in reality. We're going to practice at 5 BPM increments. But whatever speed you were able to play it at before you clicked with your metronome is the speed you start at, and you move up by 5 BPMs at a time. You don't try and make massive leaps. So, again, before we play it, we count it. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. So you're starting to see what it sounds like now. So I'm going to go to the goal tempo on this, which is 140. Which is literally double speed from what I just played it at. It's fast. So, again, we should count this before we try and play it. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. Now you got to remember, I actually started out at 25 BPM. I'm now sitting at 140. Huge speed difference, but I'm still playing the same bar. So when I played it correctly at 25 BPM, I was still playing the same bar. It's just speed is the difference. Okay, so when I said you can play it for as long as you want, what I meant was we're just going 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E and A. But we can go like this. Okay, so you can drag it out. You can keep it going for 14 bars if you want, but it's a nice little concise fill at one bar. 1E and A, 2 and A, 3E and 4E. Okay, so the next step, once you're able to play the bar at your comfortable speed and it's not throwing you off anymore, just do a bar groove in between it. So you want to get comfortable at placing it into a groove. You don't want to be able to play the fill on its own, in isolation, in the perfect scenario. You want to be able to play this fill naturally, just as you're playing a rock beat. And instead of just going quite a simple fill, you want naturally to come out of you. And the first time that happens, you're going to go, yes! It's going to feel amazing, because if you haven't planned it and it just comes out, that means it's found its way into your comfortable fills, into your back catalogue of stuff that I can fall back on, that it's just natural for me. If you practice something until it becomes natural for you, it'll show up without you playing it. Just like, so I feel like that I've played 100,000 times, I will do it without thinking. So if I practice this enough, and if you practice this enough, those kind of variants on that fill will start showing up in your play, and you're going to be so proud of yourself when it happens because it's such a validation for the work you've put in. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that because these lessons do drag on. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope you enjoyed it. We're getting close to the end of the everyday thing. It's the 30th today. Tomorrow's the last day. And then I'm never uploading again. This has been so much work. But listen, thanks for watching. There's been like a notable positive uptake in communication from people watching, which I've really been enjoying. The start of the month where I was doing kind of vloggy style stuff because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, that was a notable unsubscribe from people who were here to just to do English is hard. People who were on the channel just to see drum stuff, they were seeing like me cycling and they weren't interested. Now no one complained, but there was unsubscribing on 2 days. 2 people unsubbed. So I was like, that's not normal. So I decided to kind of cut the personal stuff, and I thought to myself, I'll keep doing it, I'll just do it on the other channel. But instead of doing that, I said, no, I'll just do drum content. I love drumming anyway, so I might as well do content on drumming. That's what people want here. Anyway, I keep talking. I'm going to stop. I will see you tomorrow for the last day, and thanks for watching. Bye.